Ingress and Ingress. As the name implies, Ingress is you're coming in, Ingress, you're going out, okay? So you might hear that word every now and then, Ingress, don't overthink it. When data is coming in, Ingress, when it's going out, Ingress, right? Many times, if you use these tools, a lot of these tools, they capture data, they capture logs. Can we all type in logs, capture logs, capture logs? The good thing, ladies and gentlemen, we are not doing this ourselves. We are not manually doing it. These are tools existing. Like I said, um, if you have time, check, I'll probably send the link to the group. Check RSA Conference and look at the vendors that came. We're talking of Fortune 50, Fortune 100. They are the biggest: Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, AWS, Fortinet, all these big guys, CrowdStrike, everybody's there, right? So now, when we talk of these guys, they're not like some small um, riffraff folks. They're the biggest of the biggest in those space, to be honest. So they're the ones that will be there. So my question is that, they're always enhancing and capturing data on their side also, which is great. So those data is what is being analyzed on their side. Okay. Somebody say, what does RSA mean? I don't even know what that means actually, but let me check what that means. I don't think it means anything. Maybe it's the name of, I don't know. But it's biggest cyber company. But that's a good question. I've never asked what is the RSA. What does it mean? Um, Oh, okay. I'm looking at it. It says stands for Reverse, Shama, and Adleman, the three inventors of the RSA algorithm. Oh, okay. I guess, over time it just evolved into a big conference. I'm sure most times when people do this kind of conference, they would start small. Oh, I see. Thank you. Then over time they would it became like an industry thing. Now it's a big global event. But yeah, it's apparently the name of the three founders of the RSA algorithm. Okay, thank you, thank you. I love it. You guys are thinking awesome. Yeah, you researched for me already. Okay, yep. So that answers the question. Mo. All right, let's see. All right, so I just talked about two key topics, IAM and also um, threat intelligence. So let's just jump into it real quick, then we do assessment around it, okay? All right, let's jump into IAM. Then I'll jump into threat intelligence. But believe it or not, everything you guys said is the same thing. It's just pretty much the same thing. So, all right, let's go. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me share my screen. And you notice you can't chat for a few seconds. But let's just talk about it real quick. Then after that, we will talk about it briefly. All right. So what is identity and access management? It's really a framework of policies, process, technologies for managing user identification and permission, really. So like we said earlier on, we are managing identity and your permission. I saw a tool today. All you need to do is to scan your ID. So if you have a driver's license, if you want to you want to log in now, it will take a camera and it just put your camera, your what do you call it, your ID in front of it, and it will authenticate your ID now. I mean, crazy though, but so many ways people are now authenticating. In between, they will use zero trust too. If they don't think it's you, it will randomly generate a text to your phone also. But there are so many innovation right now. And what's the purpose of IAM? Of course, to ensure security, compliance, and efficiency around your system and data in general. What are the key concepts? Identity. What is the identity of the individual, the group, or system? Authentication. How do we verify it's you? Through password, multi-factor authentication, biometrics, which most of you already mentioned. Then authorization. You know, um, authorizing you would be based on the roles and permission you have. And earlier on, remember you all said the super user, admin, and regular user. So if you are a super user, your role, your permission will be different from a regular user. Likewise, admin too. Then access control, most times you will see role-based access control, and it's a more effective model historically, role-based access control. So if you don't mind, can we all type RBAC, role-based access control real quick? Just say role-based access control. Can we all type it real quick? I just made us, you can go ahead and type. Just say role-based access control, RBAC. Again, anytime I ask you to type, for some of us that are new, it's by design. These are things I know in a meeting, it can come up, somebody having a conversation and say, are we using role-based? Are we using user-based? So role-based is always a safe bet all the time, okay? So most people use role-based, okay, all the time. All right, cool. Let's jump in again. So what's the importance of IAM in cybersecurity? Of course, we can agree data protection, a more enhanced user experience, policy enforcement, risk reduction. Let's talk about each one of them. We can agree we need to protect data in general, right? Because we have sensitive information that are being shared all the time. User experience is a big one, especially when you get to a point at the enterprise level when we have a lot of people. For you and I, log into your computer at home, or sometimes even at work if it's not a lot of people, sometimes it's easy, but sometimes there is a need to make sure we have a seamless experience, because you might work for a company and you have access to like 15 applications you work on every day. So do we want to manage and maintain 15 user ID and password authentication for 15? No, it will become a risk on its own, because now there's a risk of having to memorize 15 different user ID and password. There's a risk of me now thinking that's crazy. I'm writing it on a paper that I put in front of my office. So the risk compounds because I have a bad user experience. So to mitigate that, there's something you might hear out there. If you don't mind, everybody, can we all type in SSO? Everybody, if you don't mind, type in SSO, single sign-on. Everybody, if you don't mind, type in single sign-on. And single sign-on will say, okay, guys, ladies, all right, let's keep it simple. Use one ID, sign up, and we're good. So it will give you access to everything. So you remember just one user ID, one password. I know what you're thinking. What about if a malicious actor compromise that one ID, right? I get it. But the risk compound. So we just choose our poison. Because now if you have 15 ID you have to memorize versus one, I would tilt towards one versus 15, right? So that's the kind of rationale industry. Policy enforcement in general, every organization would still ultimately have their own internal policy. Now you're asking me what the heck is that, right? So at times in your organization, you would determine what your own internal policies are. Let me give an example. You might say your password setting should be 8 characters, right? That's significant, right? Somebody else might say mine is 12 character or passphrases. Whatever you decide, the policy will enforce it. So at times, if you put a setting lower than what your policy states, you know what's going to happen? it's going to kick you out. It's not going to allow you to even proceed. It will force you to put the number, and that's why we notice at times when you're trying to create a user ID and password, when you put the password at times, it will tell you, sorry, it has to be more than 6 characters. Sorry, you have to include a number. Because they've set a policy at the back end, you don't know about it, that forces it. You have to do it that way. Okay? So when you see the word policy enforcement, that's what they're talking about. Risk reduction, if you don't mind, can we all type principle of least privilege, everybody, if you don't mind, please, very important. Can you type that, please? Thank you. Principle of least privilege, everybody. Principle of least privilege, if you don't mind. And I'll explain that, very important. Let's keep it simple. If you don't need it, don't give them the access. That's all. If they don't need it, don't give it to them. That's it. That's it. If you don't need it, don't give it out. Period. Because you reduce the risk. It's so profound. Some years back, when we do assessment, I'll just tell your director or VP or CISO that anyone that has not logged on to a system in the last, typically we say 6 months, right? Then now people say 90 days or whatever number. We'll just remove the access. Guess what? They will not even be aware they've removed the access, because what we do is simple. We just run a query, check if you've not logged on to that ID for the last 6 months. It means you don't need it, right? So I'll just remove it. So you'll not even be aware of it, that I've removed the role from you anyway. You're not aware because you've not even used it anyway. So yeah, it's a win-win for all of us. So which is a very good one out there.